All right, we're going to go ahead and start our lesson on software fundamentals. It's actually this lesson we've done and gone over a lot of the stuff that's in here already, but there's a couple things we haven't gone over. I'm going to go ahead and move my camera over to the side so that we can get rolling. Okay, a couple things we're going to do is we're going to identify the fundamental concepts of word processing software. The same thing with some software, spreadsheet software, concepts of presentation software. And then we are not going to go into database software during this video. We'll do that on another video. We'll take a look at some graphics and multimedia software. That is something that we will do, and then we'll go into some of the things about different types of files and things like that. But a lot of this stuff will actually be on the second video. All right. So moving right along, a couple things you need to know: the vocabulary. Bitmap graphics, you should know what those are. Those are BMP files, .bmp files. You're going to understand what a cell is, what a database is, what a data sheet is, what's a field for a database, multimedia, what does that mean, what's an object. That's all database information. We're also going to take a look at linking, object linking, and embedding, as well as the presentation software, primary keys, queries, and records. So moving into that, you'll probably learn some new stuff. We'll talk about spreadsheets, tables, text editors, utility programs, vector graphics, word processing software, and workbooks and worksheets. What's the difference? Who cares? Why should you care? Basically speaking, application software sits on the top of regular software. It can't be run without an operating system and system utilities. For example, if you had to think about your apps on your phone, your apps would not run if you didn't have iOS 7, 10, whatever they're at now. You can purchase additional application software for individual programs, usually as a suite. And what I mean by that is that if you start purchasing Microsoft Office products, you're going to usually get Office, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Access, those types of things all together whenever you purchase them. So let's take a look at word processing. Word processing programs. The main one we're going to take a look at, obviously, is Microsoft Office Word. It's used to edit, create, print documents, and then save the documents electronically. Of course, from there we turn around and sell them, or not sell them, but send them via email. We're able to save them and transfer them without actually having to print paper and do things like that. So that's the cool thing about keeping things electronic. Word processors basically use something called a text editor. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but mainly it's just the ability to edit text. It provides you options where you can configure the suite for a particular working style. And what I mean by that is that you can go in and actually change the default settings to where when you open it up, maybe you want it to always print in Comic Sans font. Well, there's a spot where you can change that. We're going to get into the exact details of that type of stuff as we go through this course. The spreadsheet program that we look at is Microsoft Excel, and it uses a series of rows and columns. Columns, remember, columns are up and down, rows are across. Think about a church. You have rows, okay? Columns, think about a house. Columns in a house. So columns are up and down, rows are across. Very similar to things like Microsoft Word. It takes everything and puts it digital so you can save it on your computer, obviously. But the main purpose for Excel is to manipulate, calculate, and analyze numerical data, meaning numbers, okay? And it is a great, great program. And if you're going to get into any type of design and engineering, you can bet that you're going to be using Microsoft Excel on a pretty regular basis, and if you do any type of accounting at all, for sure. So the columns and rows can contain text, formulas, all that type of information, usually, and numbers. You can format them certain ways where if they wanted to be dollars, or you want them to be represented as time. So there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. The grid in Excel is referred to as a worksheet, meaning the page that you're looking at. So there's one page, and you've got a grid, which is like A1, A1, B2, whatever. That is called a worksheet. Now, When you put multiple worksheets together, you get a workbook. Okay, well, workbook can be multiple sheets, and we'll take a look at this in class. I'll show you some examples, but you can have multiple worksheets. When you put that together, it's one workbook, and when you save it as a file, it might be, I don't know, budget. Okay, you may have a budget for your car, you may have a budget for your house, you may have a budget for electricity, you may have a budget for loans. Okay, those may be all different sheets, but then when you put it all together, it's just one big file. Okay, and it's one file, and that basically is your workbook. Where there's a term that you need to know called a cell. So if I say click on this cell, you're like, what's a cell? A cell is where a column and a row intersect. Okay, it's pretty simple. And for example, A1 would be intersect, and so if I say go to A1, then you know exactly where that's at. Most of you guys know that, but believe it or not, sometimes this is a new experience for a lot of people. So you can use different types of formatting to enhance the appearance of the worksheets, to make it easier to understand, and we'll get into lots of formatting. We'll talk more, but formatting is not just used in Excel, it's also very much used in Word and PowerPoint and those other types of things, which we're going to talk about now. PowerPoint is the main presentation software that we're going to use in this class. You have the ability to use some other software. I mean, Prezi is one that's online. A lot of people are using that software now, and it's a really good software to use. Because it's online, you don't really have to purchase any software for it. So it's all online, and everything is, you don't have to download it and put it on your computer. But PowerPoint also is a very customizable program. You can go in and change the defaults and things like that. You can really go in and manipulate a presentation to make it the way that you want it to be. So presentation concepts continued. Microsoft PowerPoint comes with different themes and pre-designed sets, such as fonts, colors, fill effects, and other formatting. You're going to know this like the back of your hand as we go through this course, because you're going to get a certification in this actual software. So a couple of the things you need to know, the things you use in a PowerPoint presentation are basically, to enhance the presentation of the information. And what this thing is telling you here is just don't get carried away. You can get so carried away where everything on the slide presentation is moving, and you're like, oh my gosh, just stay still and let me focus on what you're trying to say or what you're trying to present. So there's lots of transitions, animations, blinking lights. There's just so many things you can do in there. So you have to know when to use it, and that's really what they're getting out here. But when creating presentations, we're going to go into some of the stuff about presentations to help you. I've started doing that already with you. Begin with the end in mind. That is the #1 rule of presentations. You got to know what it is you're trying to relay, what the message is you're trying to relay, what's the information you're trying to transfer. Because if you don't know, then you're going to waste your time sitting in front of a computer going, oh, what am I supposed to do here? So consider who your audience is also. If you're talking to young people, then you need to use some graphics and things that they will understand. If you're talking to older people, more professional people that don't really have a sense of humor, maybe you had to tone it down a little bit on the types of graphics that you're using and those types of things. So just be aware of who you're talking to, the audience that you have. And we're going to stop right there at database concepts. We'll pick this up on a next session dealing with the software stuff.